everybody. I am here with Liz Jones, account manager extraordinaire, who I have known now for 2 years, which is shocking. I remember interviewing her. And as a part of this KPIs, where Kurt's interviewing people, I just wanted to pick her brain about a couple different things. So we're going to get into that day today and talk about it. And I'm excited to get some nuggets of wisdom from Liz, who I've really enjoyed working with. I've watched her grow as we've been in this role, and she's closed some amazing deals. And I thought it would be good to just kind of pick her brain. So, as I did a little deep dive on you, and we talked about some questions beforehand, you worked in the software business before you were at Qlik, but your background was not in sales. And if I did my research correctly, too, you even studied marketing as a part of schooling. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah.
So, what drew you to the marketing thing initially?
Yeah. So I always had this interest in going into business. And the way we had our kind of curriculum set up is you would do your international business major, which is what I did, but then you picked your focus area. So whether it be marketing or finance, supply chain was I think, another one. And I was really drawn to marketing, I think, just in the sense that you get to kind of figure out what customers are talking about. Finance to me was not appealing. I'm not a big numbers person. So, which I guess, a little bit of that does play into sales, but really the marketing, I think, was what I was drawn to just because you get a feeling for what customers are talking about. Also, I feel like social media marketing was becoming really big. So that was exciting to me too. So that's kind of what drew me to that area. And
So you're pursuing this marketing thing at the company you were at previously, and I remember you coming, and I was a part of the interview team for you, and you had done something where like you round robined, or you did something where you focused on sales for a little bit, right, as a part of that kind of training thing. Talk about that a minute.
yeah, so what I did at the previous company I was at, it was awesome, the program they had. So basically you would come in and rotate through different departments to get a taste of what you were interested in. There was like a consulting track, a very technical track, which I was not part of. I was not developing software at any point, but um, part of that was a sales rotation as well. So I had a little bit of experience doing that, but at the time, I was actually helping someone in marketing a lot. She had a ton of work. She's awesome. She's still there. And I kind of found a good spot there with marketing and really loved my team. And there were a lot of things I really loved about it. But yeah, I did some time kind of with their like account services team, which is sort of like helping with renewals and keeping the accounts satisfied and all of that with their contracts. I did a little bit of sales at that point. It was mostly like kind of discovery, qualifying opportunities that were coming in, and ended up landing in marketing ultimately.
Nice. So what kicked off and what made this an initial push for you to get in sales? Would you say it's part of that experience that you had, or what really tipped the scales to you to kind of come to Qlik and say, I want to pursue, a actual closing role and kind of walking through the whole sales process?
Yeah, so I think I did get that little taste of it, but I wasn't able to really experience it end to end like this again. Like you could almost think of it as like an internship. You're not going to get responsibilities being that you're kind of coming in and leaving at some point. So that was appealing to me. I'm like, I just feel like I didn't get enough of that experience, but I knew that I was going to like it because I wanted to be closer to the customer. Um, in marketing, you're kind of casting a wide net, you're learning how to message, and everyone in marketing is like wanting to find out what customers are saying all the time. They're like, what are you guys hearing in sales? What are you hearing? And everyone wants to hear about that, but I wanted to hear it directly. I didn't want, hearing it through different degrees of people. I wanted to be very close to the customer, helping them fix their problems that they might have. And I remember my manager when I was in that marketing role, she was really like, you're really great at what you're doing here, but what do you want to do? Like, what's your next move? Like, where do you see yourself going? Because they were really big about helping us grow in our career. And I was like, I, to me, I mean, I was very honest with her. I was like, I don't know if marketing is it for me. Like, I want to be close to these customers. And that's when I was like, I need to really like, full speed look into getting into a sales position, which is what I did.
That's really interesting to hear because, as I know, as I've worked with you, and as the feedback that we've gotten from customers is always that like there's a level of professionalism that you bring, but care for your customers. So it's really neat to hear that progression of like, I got into this because I wanted to be closer to the customers, which, as we've used you on our team for some of the marketing language stuff, you have that unique perspective of this is what tends to work, but we have to make it work for the customer and make it sound good. So that's a really
Yeah.
neat progression. So when you were looking into sales, why did Qlik become the right fit? Why did you think like this? I could land here. I could be happy here for a while. This I would love to sell this product. Kind of what brought that about in your mind?
Yeah, so one of the someone from my previous employer actually had also went over to Qlik. So I had found some positions online and I called her and asked about the company and she had great things to say. Um and so at that point it was really up to just like, oh my God, are they really going to take a chance on me? I don't have the experience that a lot of other people have and what you guys were asking for. So I had to kind of make sure I positioned that I don't have the experience, but I'm really hardworking and willing to learn. I'll make sure I like roll my sleeves up and actually try to like take in as much information as I can. So the other piece that was really appealing to me is when I started doing interviews, it was kind of right when um, COVID was still going on, but I was able to actually meet people in person and the leadership, they were awesome. I actually interviewed with you, so this is not my first interview with Kurt, but I was really drawn to the willingness to give me a chance at something that I knew I could do. I just needed to be given like the opportunity to do so. So you and Sherry, like she took a chance and we built a really good relationship that we still have now, which is awesome. And Chris Stoddard too is someone who interviewed me. He's like, listen, we got through the interviews. Like, you can do this if you want to, and you can put your mind to it. But sales is really like it's up to you. Like you're driving your own business, and you have to motivate yourself. So, it was really just the question of like, can you do this, and do you really want to do this? So, I feel like they were very open minded, and it wasn't like, well, you don't have these 2 years of selling uh like full sales cycle. So that appealed to me because I'm like, okay, this company's willing to take chances. Then I think anyone who's willing to do that, you're opening the door to opportunities that you wouldn't have come across before. So
Yeah, and I'll say as a note to if this as a note to anybody watching this, there was that we were taking a chance on Liz and we talked about that internally. And one of the things we did was like, hey, here's this presentation we'd like you to do and learn and present. And we gave her no information because it was kind of like, how bad does she want this? Is she going to dig in? And she reached out and said, Kurt, do you have any suggestions? And immediately I was like, well, she just went up on my book because she's asking. Like, if you have a sales rep who's going to come in, doesn't know anything, and is scared to ask questions, it's going to be a really hard push for you to learn things. But you were like, I really want this job. Give me some pointers on how to kind of do this presentation, things that I should think about and know. And you just ran with this presentation. It was like, she really does want it. And that's the key. Like, if you want a job, don't just assume they're going to give it to you. Want it. What can I do to show you I want this? Is there a presentation that I can try? Is there something as a sales pitch that I can make to you while always pitching yourself in the interview is key. And again, to anybody watching, Liz did that to make sure that we knew she was going to step up and she was going to do everything she could to prove that she was going to do this job, and she crushed it. And here we sit 2 years later.
I started training in August and um, accelerated that so I could get started selling for the last quarter of the year.
Yes, and so you got your quota for the last quarter of the year. And if I remember, your eyes almost popped out of your head, correct? Yeah.
Yep.
And then how did you do?
I panicked, and I remember I was starting with someone else too who had just been hired, and I think I called you and someone else, and I was like, so there's no way I'm gonna do this. Like, should I like am I gonna get fired? And you're like, just like go out there and do what you can. Find out. One of the big things was like meet your customers before you start going out there and like trying to like cast a net on people who might not even know about Qlik. Get to know your customers, and that's exactly what I did. In fourth quarter, I did hit my number, which was really exciting, and it gave me like the check of like, okay, I think I can do this. So
Yeah, and it goes back to what you were saying is I wanted to dig in and I wanted to know the customer. And I remember talking through that. And that's always my advice is like get to know your customers. They're your low hanging fruit. They're going to be patient. Hopefully, they're going to be patient with you. You're going to learn a lot from having conversations from them, and good things will come from that, potentially immediately, 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, 12 months down the line, as you continue to foster those relationships and try to change the way that I think people tend to think about sales. We're hopefully in this for the long haul with you, and we want to make customers for life out of you, and that's a fun relationship to be in with people, so kudos on that. And then 2022 came out. Now you have a full year. How'd you do in 2022?
2022 was awesome. So I exceeded my number. I was at 157%. And that was really awesome too, because I got to see expansion in customers I'd been working with for several months that I like, some of which I feel like I almost have a friendship with at this point. But then also getting to go through like a full sales cycle for months that took a little bit longer. Like those new logos that came in with Qlik, like that was really exciting. Expanding people, moving them to the cloud. Obviously, like that first quarter I was here at the company in 2021, like that was super exciting because it was so fast, but it was also just as exciting, I think, the next year to like take my time and like be able to be there as part of their story and still keep in touch with them now. So
Marketing to sales. I think that our team would love to think that we're the ones giving you all of the information and the wealth of wisdom that you need to be successful, but that would be naive. Were there any books, podcasts, or things that you found helpful as you made that switch into sales, and maybe even things that you still listen to now, that just kind of get you excited to keep selling?
I think that there wasn't one in particular. I would always, when I was driving, especially, I would find kind of like quick snippets of like the top, whatever was trending with like um, how to like with prospecting, because I didn't have a lot of people that go into this role had that like a couple years at least of doing like BDR, SDR type of work, and I didn't have that. So I'm like, I really need to motivate myself and figure out how to do this. So that looking up podcasts on that. I think negotiation too, which Qlik is awesome. We have a whole team that helps with that. But I think just getting my bearing down around how do you even go about that and have those conversations. I was exclusively working internally at my last role. So I had a lot of stakeholders that I had to help. I was helping the whole marketing team with their requests. Um, but this is just a different type of a different style. And I think I just needed help on like the audience I was working with. Like these aren't just coworkers that I see in the office every day. Like we're working with customers, so customer communication. But yeah, I think just like whatever I saw was trending, I would listen to. And I think outside of that, like I don't do a ton of listening to podcasts, but I will say like I'm not afraid to ask for help. So I was trying to set up time. There were a couple like really seasoned sales reps here that I just set up 20 minutes with to pick their brain and find out like how did you get to be so successful? Like what did you learn like over the years? And that I think was probably most beneficial was reaching out to them.
That's a great answer, because I think that sometimes we forget that there are people, and myself included, there are people that have, but people that have been here 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, that have been selling for those years, that come with all of the wisdom, that have seen all manner of deals in and out, that can be like, oh, I had a deal like that. This is how it went. And it's not telling you how to do it, but saying, like, this is the line we had to take. Here's an idea for you. And there's too often we don't take advantage of that wisdom that exists within
Yeah.
the company about how those things work. So that's awesome to hear that you did that. You crushed it in 2021, you crushed it in 2022, making it sound like everything is so easy. But I know that's not the case. You and I had calls. What was the hardest thing about that transition into sales? And that could be the hardest thing to learn. That could be just the least favorite thing you like doing. What did you just feel was extremely difficult and like took a lot of effort to kind of get over, but was worth it?
So I think one of the challenges it so we're kind of running our own business. We were always told that like this is your business that you're running and you have to make it successful. Kind of you have everyone's help, but it's up to you. You're the quarterback. And I think sometimes that can be difficult because you want to be able to see something to the end and make sure like have complete control over it. And there's a lot of sales that it is somewhat out of your control because a lot of it's on whatever customer you're working with and their internal processes. So um, that was hard for me just because coming from a marketing role where I was given my tasks that I had, and I did have to rely on other people to get some things done. But I mean, if I wanted to be able to like check something off my list, I could go in and stay up a little bit later and get it done versus now it's like I can't um, stay up later and have someone expect that something's going to close or a deal's going to be done. Like it's a lot more, um, I think, like there's a lot more people um, involved and that can be, I think, challenging. So that's been tough. And I think the other thing too is I was really stressed. I've always been someone who gets stressed out very easily. That's how I've been my whole life. But I think um, it's a different type of stress. Like you have a number that you have to hit, and um, just knowing that that can like fluctuate sometimes, and just being able to like step away and look at it and be like, I will do what I have to do. But it's tough not to be able to be like, I know this is going to happen every single month. As much as you um, can work hard and be in touch with your customers, like it is, yeah, it's just a little bit more out of your control, I would say, which can be scary. So.
What's your favorite part of being in sales? I have some guesses based off of what we talked already, but what's the favorite part for you?
So the favorite part I think is working with customers, like especially I when I'm meeting with people and trying to set up calls with customers and they hear it all the time, probably from all the vendors they're with, is like, oh, they want to meet with me to like upsell me right away. And I really don't want to go into a conversation like that. So I enjoy like reminding people that I'm a human and they are too. And I just want to make sure that they really are happy before I go pushing anything. Um, that's been fun too to like get to know people from around the country too. Like a lot of the customers I'm supporting are in the South. And I'm from Philadelphia. So just meeting all sorts of different people I love. I also love our team. We're pretty much entirely remote, but we still have this like really nice family that it's like great friendships that I've had. So um that I really like. I think it's also challenging. So I'm sure like even for you and all even reps who have been here for like several years, um, even if you feel really comfortable in your role, like every opportunity you have is gonna you're gonna face something that you probably haven't before. So getting through those challenges and like I think you always are learning something new. It's like you're never gonna get bored. That's definitely for sure. You definitely do not get bored in this role.
That is very true. And if you're bored in sales, then you're clearly not doing something right.
Yeah.
It should
Yeah.
never be boring. No. Prospecting is key to being successful in sales. what have you done and how did you make this a part of your normal daily or weekly routine to continue prospecting and have that prospecting mindset?
Yeah. LinkedIn is my biggest, like that's, I think that's the piece that I like the most. I've also been someone who tries to be pretty active with like not just posting myself, but also interacting because I think, um, I don't know, just someone who's never really on there and being engaged to just go on then and kind of throw messages out at people, it probably doesn't sit right because, you're clearly using this simply for kind of sending messages out. So like intentionally using LinkedIn to build your brand at your company. Um, and that has been a big piece for me because I do feel like I get a decent amount of interaction on there versus I think if it were just a blank slate, it probably wouldn't. They don't know anything about me, but if someone were to click on mine or your page, they could see like our interest in what we talk about. I think helping with we did a lot of prospecting this year, so helping with writing the emails and using some of my marketing background, but also knowing that it is really different if you're coming in as an account manager trying to reach out. Like you don't want to do all these big long emails. Like keep it very, very short, see if there's interest. And that I think has been interesting. Like even one of the emails that got the most interaction was one sentence and that was it. Asking what they use for BI today, just to learn that. So that's been fun too, experimenting with email and writing for that.
Do you see it as being beneficial to really dig in and really try to personalize those initial emails and reach out? Have you seen success in that?
I think at an account level, it can be helpful. Like if you were to focus on one account, this is what marketing started doing when I was in that role. There was a big push towards like we need to be doing account-based marketing. You do still want to like have some marketing efforts, casting a big net to try to just get as many people as you can into a funnel. But with I think narrowing it down and focusing on a company, that it can be helpful. I think honestly, I think people are a bit overwhelmed with um, emails like coming in from anything. I don't know if there's anyone who can really say that they're getting a ton of responses from their efforts. Like obviously it's you do still and you're putting your name out there, so it's important, but you have to be kind of tactical about your time during the day. Like you only have so much time and that's around meeting with customers and getting your deals moving forward. So I think like for me, I'd rather take a little more time into different accounts I'm focused on, and going that route versus just kind of spraying and praying, like you said.
You moved from marketing to sales. What advice would you give to others who are currently in a different role but are tiptoeing around this sales idea and really want to make that move to sales?
I think with even if it were marketing to sales or sales to marketing, I think a lot of people go from one to the other. I think about your reasoning for why you're going to do that. I think a lot of people might feel really overwhelmed and stressed, and you don't want that to be the reason why, because both are going to have challenges. Absolutely. Like I was really stressed at times in that role and here as well. So I think sit down and I remember writing down like why I wanted to do this, and why I thought it was a better fit for me. And I was pretty sure that I was definitely wanting to make this move. So I think about why you want to do it. Talk to people who are in that role. Talk to like a mentor that you trust and can confide in. At the time, I talked to my manager, and she was really helpful. And um, just think about your skills too, and but don't get hung up on that too, because I think there might be a misconception that like you have to be this really outgoing, super extroverted person to be a successful salesperson. I don't really think that's necessarily true. I think there's probably more people who are also somewhat introverted who are still successful. So think about why you want to do it and the reasons for that, and yeah, just talk to people about it and listen, like you said, asking about podcasts. There's all sorts of articles online for everything you can think of. So just read about the change.
Yeah, great answer. I think that some of what you're saying, to hop off on the kind of that you don't have to be extroverted in sales. I think you do, you have to care. And
Yeah,
you have to figure out how to care for what you're selling. And you can frame that a bunch of different ways. So like my take, and I think some of yours too, is like my customers or my potential customers have this problem. I want to figure out how to help them solve this problem. And in that I care because I want the problem solved. And it's like if I just care about people and care about their problems, and I think that there's a way that I can help fix them, that's huge. Like you don't have to be extroverted, you don't have to be extremely outgoing, you don't have to make videos and do stuff like that. It's like I I care, and part of why I'm doing this too is I care that people are finding out great information and nuggets of wisdom from customers and internal people at Qlik and how to sell and all that different stuff. And that's the key.
yeah,
It's just caring a little bit. And you like to care, you don't have to be an extrovert. You just have to be
yeah,
empathetic and actually give a damn.
right.
So
Like genuine, real, genuine care for sure. Yep.
exactly. Well, Liz Jones, thank you so much for letting me interview you for the second or third time, depending on how you look at it. And it has been great getting to know you. I'm excited to share some of your story. So thanks for joining me today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kurt.